I've been dreaming. I've been dreaming about walking with my two children, my two girls. The girls, they're deaf, just like me. Oh, but I can't be with them at the moment. The reason, you see, I'm here in prison because I couldn't afford to pay my debts. Oh, I shouldn't be here. I'm living in hell. I mean, I've a lot of thanks to give to a good friend of mine, the Reverend. You see, he's taking care of and looking after my two girls. Oh, I hope they're all okay. I mean, but there is hope. You see this paper? I can write. And I'm good. So now I'm writing and writing different stories that hopefully I can use to pay off my debts and get out of here. I suppose it's not all bad. This is Irish stew, and it's fantastic. It's a taste of home. Soon. When I was born, my parents found out I was deaf, and the two of them looked everywhere to get me the best teachers and provide the best education for me. Then I went to France, and I studied in a place called Paris, the Academy for Deaf. Oh, I really enjoyed my studies there. Different activities, different studies like art and science. And of course, I loved sport. I still love sport from the time I was a child. For many years, I've enjoyed sport. I met a beautiful lady. Her name was Harriet Shoulderham. We have a daughter, and we lived in a gorgeous place called Lexton Hall in Northamptonshire. That's in England. Oh, I always enjoyed my time there. I liked looking after the land and loved making sure it was okay and meeting different people. All of the tenants there were really supportive of me and helped me around the place. We would do things like collecting the rent or maybe looking after the animals' welfare. Oh, they were a great help to me. I really enjoyed it. Often we would slag each other and we would communicate through written notes. We had no issues with that. I really enjoyed meeting new people. Oh, they were difficult but good times. I was heavily involved with the deaf community, doing things like raising money or educating the children or deaf protests. But I remember one time we raised money for setting up a church. The name was Church of the Saviours for Deaf in London. The church now is on Oxford Street. You might know a famous shop, Sotheby's. Often I used to go to that church to pray. I was there when it first opened with all the royalties that were present. It was good. I was the first president of the National Deaf and Dumb Association. The name has been changed to the British Deaf and Dumb Association, but now it's just BDA.
I was born the 23rd November 1745. I'm an Irish author, poet, activist, and botanist. I worked as a social worker. I protected women who were vulnerable and who had emigrated to America. I am the youngest daughter in a family of 5 sons and 2 daughters. When my father returned on a convict ship in 1845, I then joined him in Brussels, Belgium, until we moved back home in the year 1856. In 1861, on my mother's death, I moved to look after my father until he died 3 years later in the year 1864. From 1864 onwards, I moved and lived with my brother to care for his 3 children. This is because his wife had passed away, and I stayed there until he remarried in 1880. By 1879, my hearing had disappeared. I had become fully deaf. I travelled a lot with women to America, but there was one beautiful night on a boat where I saw Irish dancing. It was so beautiful, but I couldn't hear it. I published many articles and letters on the newspaper, and I did so until I retired from working life in 1886. Growing up, I was a Protestant, but I've converted to Catholicism in 1886. On June the 3rd, 1909, I died of heart failure.
My father was a very successful doctor, a surgeon for the eyes and ears. He wrote a lot of transcripts about deaf people, on the physical, moral and social needs of deaf and dumb. Whenever people agreed with me, I would always assume I must be wrong. I've wrote lots of books. I've travelled extensively. I went to America. Often people would ask me before I go in somewhere, would I have something to say? And I would say, I have nothing to say, just my dreams. I've wrote plays and I love drama. Do you know what? I've had a lot of drama happen to me in my private life. My wife, Constance Lloyd, we both have 2 sons. I can resist everything except for temptation. I started to have an affair, you see, with Lord Alfred Douglas. I nicked him Morty. I sued his father. He was from Queensborough. I sued him because he slandered me. He said I was gay. I lost the court battle. My private life was all over the place. Do you know what happened? I was arrested, sent to court for the crime of gross indecency, meaning I was gay. Well, anyway, I was arrested. It was quite hard work. I suffered. I mean, we are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. Anyway, while I was in prison, my wife, she took the 2 children and absconded to Switzerland. While she was there, she changed their names from Wild to Holland. After a few years, I was freed, but my health had seriously disintegrated and my name was in tatters. So just be yourself, because everyone else is already taken. So I travelled around Europe and then I decided to settle down in Paris. I was very sick. When I grew up as a child, I was Protestant, but I decided to change to Catholicism just a few days before I died.